Hello and welcome to EdCamp Facilitation 101. This brief video serves as an introduction to those seeking to facilitate a breakout session during EdCamp. Remember, EdCamp functions as an unconference, so spontaneity in the kinds of topics that are facilitated is key to creating the best EdCamp experience. So let's say you and a couple other educators have decided to go off to a breakout room and discuss a topic that you're all interested in learning more about. What do you do without that kind of structure? If you are the one who introduced the topic and gathered your colleagues together, you are serving as an informal facilitator. So here are some tips for you to make the most out of that time and those conversations. First, you're going to want to make sure that you're welcoming people as they arrive into the space. Set a positive tone. Have some informal interactions, start some small talk conversations before the official session begins. You can do that by introducing your name, your job or position, your interest or why you're interested in the session topic, and then ask everyone else in the room to do the same. Remind people that the goal for this session is to generate conversation and promote collaboration. If we go back to the why of EdCamp, then people will be more comfortable with contributing. Encourage active listening. Making sure that everyone's voice is heard is integral to a productive session. If your session is getting large, you may want to break out into smaller groups, maybe groups of 4 to 5, and pose questions to the larger group before promoting smaller discussions. But if you're a smaller group, go ahead and discuss as a whole group. Make sure you're keeping track of your time and dismiss the group on time so they can move on to the next session that they're interested in attending. And last, pose questions. Make sure that lull in the conversation doesn't last for too long. I have a couple of example questions we'll go over in just a minute. Now that you know what to do, let's talk about some things that we're going to want to avoid during our sessions. Let's not make the session a one-person show. Unless someone has prepared a presentation, which is typically not very frequent in EdCamp breakout sessions, we want to have everyone contributing to the conversation. That's what true collaboration is. So be conscious of that for yourself as well as any other individuals in the room who may dominate the conversation. Again, don't have a single expert in the room as much as possible. EdCamp is about learning together and growing together. Try to avoid having slides or using a presentation or speaking in front of the room. Again, there are some breakout sessions that would require really something specific like that, but for the most part, most EdCamp sessions are going to be spontaneous. So having slides creates an era of there's an expert, that there's a one person leading this, and that people are just passively listening. We want to avoid passive consumption of learning as much as possible during these EdCamp sessions. It should be conversational and collaborative. So how do we facilitate the conversation? Here are some questions that you might use regardless of the topic at hand. A conversation starter would be, who proposed this topic and what are you hoping to gain from this conversation? Could it be that they want something tangible, a mini lesson they could take to their classroom that next week? Are they wanting something larger, more philosophical, foundational shifts in their practice? Start that conversation there. And here's some other conversation starters. What other experiences do people have with this topic? Is there someone who's maybe attempted to implement some strategies related to the topic already? Are there any resources that people recommend for getting more information? If it makes sense, you could even have people starting to dive into that resource, especially if it's online, during the session time. What resources has anyone used that they have been successful with in this topic, whether that's an individual expert, maybe on social media or on a blog, any books they've read, literature, apps, websites, etc. Who are the established experts in the field? Who are the people who are being published? Who are those who are creating and setting on research? Those people might be where we start to begin to find other resources. And this is the key question. Because EdCamp is facilitating collaborative conversations, we also want teachers and educators of all kinds to leave with something tangible that they can implement to improve their practice. So what can they go back and implement? If there's time in their session, creating something is a really powerful thing to do. So for example, if you're doing a close reading topic and you want to develop mini lessons together, and everyone in that room within that session walks away with a lesson template or a couple of slides they can use with their students, that is powerful. That's the purpose of EdCamp, is for teachers and educators to walk away with the resources they need. All right, thanks for watching, and if you have any other questions, let us know.